Hello, trainers! Did you know that it's been 5 years since Pokémon GO first launched? We've certainly come a long way since then as a community, and the game has grown immensely too. Whether you're playing right now during Pokémon GO Fest 2021 or you're prepping to get out there and go, we're really excited to debut this exclusive audio content for all trainers to enjoy. Go behind the scenes with some Niantics who were there when Pokémon GO was first launched and learn all about what it was like when Pokémon GO changed the world in 2016.
We believed in this vision. We believed in this vision that John had laid out for us years ago, that these mobile phones could be more than just to be devices that were more than just a kind of a ball and chain back to desktop computing. That instead that they could revolutionize how we interacted with computing and actually bring us out into the real world. And that was the vision, the mission that pushed us to create something that was different and that the world had never seen. Tatsuo Nomura, our product manager, really was a visionary even well before this Pokemon came into the scene. You know, he called himself, I think, the April Fool's engineer of Google, and he'd done these serial experiments with Japanese game companies, integrating them to Google Maps. Particularly, there was one April Fool's joke where there was Pokemon that showed up on desktop Google Maps experience that folks could click and find.
It was the third time when I did the April Fool's. I came up with this idea of having these Pokemons showing up on the map, and you can sort of quote catch Pokemon on Google Maps. And we did that on the mobile. So apparently that attracted John, and he was looking for other projects to work on in terms of location-based game. Seeking for other new opportunities. And apparently the Pokemon was something John and Masa thought this could be the new Niantic project. And John reached out to me and asked me to connect Niantic with the Pokemon company. At that time, I was still just a software engineer working for Google Maps, but I was helping Niantic and Pokemon Company as sort of a side project. Later, John asked me to join Niantic, and that's how I got into Niantic.
The concept movie was integrated with the real world, where Pokemon appeared at the desert, ocean, mountain, and trainers, and tried to catch them. And this is the beginning of the email thread about Pokemon idea started. So just 1 month after the April Fool, I and John and Daniel and Tatsuo flew to Japan to have the first meeting with the Pokemon company. The concept of harnessing real world were there already in the first meeting. We presented that, and water Pokemon lives near the ocean, and forest Pokemons are living in the forest, and we capture it and let them fight against each other. There's a lot of the interesting miracle coincidence in this project actually. And the next month, June, the TPC visit Google headquarters to have a meeting with us. They were really positive and really they want to see to the opportunity of this, and visited us. And TPC is the Pokemon company's CEO and founder, and the person next to him is Junichi Masuda, who is the original game creator of engineer and the music composer of original Pokemon. Most of the Pokemon shape and design came from the real animals, real kind of insects, and real kind of creatures. Very kind of the natural that that we start to think about Pokemon can live in the real world. It's just something like the coming back to the original. So Pokemon came from the real world, inspired through Satoshi's eyes, transformed to the Pokemon and in the digital world. So Kei was a big part of it.
So I'm Kei Kawai. I'm the head of the product at Niantic, and I run the product management team. It's inspirational to hear the story really that Pokemon company responded really well because they saw the potential of expanding Pokemon into the real world. That's what the old trainers has been wanting to do. So again, it's a perfect match. It was totally humbling, more than anything, to see how big of a response that people had on Pokemon Go. I knew there's something special about what we are trying to do was Ingress and our events. That's why I joined. I still believe in how big we can be, and we can be even bigger. Pokemon Go was just totally surprising.
Kay decided to join Niantic when we spun out from Google. It was very kind of the ambitious challenges for him, but his joining was the last big puzzle of the making this Pokemon Go project happen.
I was hired on as a tech artist to do basically, it's kind of like a bridge between engineering and art. You have both the left brain and the right brain kind of working at the same time, so you can do the code, but you can also jump in and do some of the design work as well. For the longest time, I was the only tech artist. It wasn't until after we launched Pokemon Go that we hired a second one. When we first launched that trailer where there's all these Pokemon flying around you, I remember my friends were telling me how cool it would be to actually see that and how disappointing it would be if the game is just this. And that made me think that, at least in terms of creating a buzz, it's probably important that we have some sort of way of showing that no, this Pokemon isn't just on this map where you are. This Pokemon is right here in front of you. And so I, spent a Saturday afternoon at home typing up a prototype. I installed it. I went out in my backyard and I filmed myself catching a Pikachu. Before that point, a lot of people were kind of not really enthusiastic about adding more scope to, our game because it was already massively overscoped. But after they had play tested the prototype I had built and seen the videos, all the doors kind of opened, and then the rest is history. There were a couple people at the company that were very into Pokemon. Myself, Tatsuo, basically the director, the PM, both of us kind of grew up playing it, and we kind of knew the fan base, and I was I was spending a lot of time looking at sort of what the reactions were and the hype that was kind of being generated. So I knew it was going to be widely received. The question was whether or not we could sustain that, or we could actually, turn that into a sustainable online community.
It was a very small art team. There's only 3 of us. So there was Dennis. He was kind of he was the lead. There was Chris Stasky, who worked on a lot of the gym stuff and the Pokestop. There was myself and a tech artist named David Holland. And then a UI artist UX artist who was doing UX called Martini. We just had to take really broad strokes. So David and I worked really closely together. We worked on the map, we worked on the items, we worked on the avatars, we worked on everything basically. And Paul and I worked really close, and David and I worked really closely together on the UI and the UX, and it was we were just tight unit working together. I was because we were in a bit of a rush to get it done. So I was we'll launch, it'll reach some people, but we'll fix things after it launches. And I was not expecting at all that reception. It was being transported to a different dimension.
I was I was concerned about the state that the software was in. There were a lot of bugs that I still needed to fix on my end, and multiply that by every single other person that was working on it. It was definitely a pretty high-strung moment, I think, to launch something like that and to feel like it's not ready. But it's also, there's some truth to, I think you'll never feel like it's ready. There's this perfect opportunity with summer vacation happening and all these other sort of stars aligned. That was the moment that we could launch.
Pokemon Go was that game, that app, that moment that actually brought Niantic onto the world map. That was just such an exhilarating moment for all of us. A lot of people saying, this is the game I was born to play. This is the game I've been waiting for since I was 7 years old. And so it's just really high expectations, and there's a reason for you to play near a fountain or a beach versus playing in a park because of the different Pokemon that you'll find. So our job was to, tease and provide yet the right information and build enough excitement. And we definitely got lucky on that video going viral. The response throughout the field test that we had run in Japan, in the US, and in Australia and New Zealand was generally positive. So we had good early indicators that the people that are engaging with this actually are enjoying it. They're continuing to play. They're not churning as quickly as one might expect in a soft launch. These types of games are just so hard. There's friction built in from the get-go. You download the game, you try to move, and then you have to realize, whoa, I have to physically move. No one ever thought this would be a slam dunk by any means. And I remember very clearly, like the days leading up to launch. Launch was never a set moment. It was almost always a moving target because we just had so many I's that needed to be dotted and T's that needed to be crossed. That was just an incredibly exciting experience. It wasn't out yet. It was out maybe for a few thousand people to interact with. As a team, we just came close together. It was a lot of late nights, a lot of weekends, because it's a live service. When we finally saw the light at the end of the tunnel, like, hey, July 5th feels like the right moment to actually launch. We shipped the game to Australia and New Zealand on July 5th. And then July 6th, the big day, launching in the US, lots of coffee. I downloaded the game, I started playing it. I was just giddy with excitement that this is something we've been tinkering with for a really long time at Niantic, and now the world, or at least the US in this case, will have access to it. It's so exciting.
I remember, I think it was on the night of Tuesday, July 5th, or the afternoon Tuesday, July 5th. Within hours, my estimates for traffic had already been filled, like worldwide traffic had been filled. I think there's a real yearning for folks to actually be out in the real world and to explore, right? And that we had tapped into something primal, right? This is the entire, this is what the company was founded on. This is what we always have built the platform to do. But what's to actually inspire folks to explore the world together, right? Is to get out there and actually see and explore and discover things for themselves. And Pokemon is an incredibly powerful franchise. It matches this notion, kind of optimistic, upbeat desire to explore and to better yourself, basically perfectly to that mission and the underlying technology. So I think that it was not just fortuitous. It was almost it was kind of really made to be together, right? That people felt deep in their hearts when they played Game Boy games, but also that they wanted to feel and experience in the real world with their own bodies.
We were all kind of meeting the next morning, and Ed was like, this is many multiples times larger than we thought. Like the number of downloads is like several multiples times larger and multiples larger. And Paul Francis was like, oh, it's going to even be bigger than that. And I remember going like, oh, these guys, what are they talking about? And then we launched in the US, and it was like one of those kind of lucky strikes. It was like the combination of the IP and the real world experience and, this kind of novel AR thing. It was just like, it just hit at the right time at the right moment.
Even just the first day when I went outside and everybody in front of our office just walking down the street was like playing. And then I went onto the train, and then on the train people were still playing. And then I got in my car, and on the radio, NPR was running a segment on it. And then I got home, and I'm just like, this is crazy.
So I was very excited to be part of the spin out. And I, at the time, was running operations, all our customer support, as well as HR and recruiting and kind of doing all of the office operations as well. We saw all of our dreams come true, where people were outside in the parks, getting to know their neighbors, socializing, walking all around. It was really, really cool to see that all come to fruition. And I just remember, my family finally figured out, oh, that's what you do. I get it. Chris and I were like pushing out, and Barack were pushing out kind of the help center, and we, had, people in place, and it was a very exciting thing. But then when everything started happening and it was just becoming overwhelming and our servers were going up and down and everything, we actually had Zendesk actually turned us off, which is our customer support system. They thought we were being attacked. So they cut us off for a few hours, and we had to call them up and get us back online. It was super exciting, but we were all just glued to our computers, obviously, and trying to firefight and figure out what was going on and how we could best help our users and communicate effectively. When I reflect back on it, what's so cool about it now, which we didn't really recognize then, but a lot of it was obviously people who wanted to play and they weren't able to play because it wasn't rolled out globally. So there were a lot of people going, why can't I play? So there was a lot of excitement around the world. So of course we had to change directions and start hiring and working with our team to get ramped up, but it was completely overwhelming. So it's more about supporting our users and less about counting the dollars that were coming in. And so hiring took off. And then of course we also had so much work to do and so much, to fix and so much to build that we just started hiring like crazy. Carrie Ann, she was our controller. So I wouldn't say we had an accounting department. That woman is a superhero. She handled it all by herself. I tried to support Carrie Ann the best I could. So did Mike, and so did John, of course. And so we were all, kind of in that together. I was more from an operational perspective trying to help her out.
For the entire year in 2016, I was the only one running finance, and then we hired Jeff the following year around February 2017. Before Pokemon GO launch, I can just download the report straight up, and then I would have the Excel file and prepare my reports of that. But when Pokemon GO launched, the following month when I had to run my reports, I can't download them anymore because it won't fit in one Excel file. I didn't expect Pokemon GO to create all that transactions that I won't be able to run my reports. And we actually used the same script for so long up until we started hiring more people in finance.
I am the Director of Social Impact at Niantic. It means that I spend my time working with nonprofits, foundations, city governments to find ways in which we can use our resources and our technology to make even more impact in the community. So a month before we launched Pokemon GO, I was 8 months pregnant with my first daughter. That was a really chaotic, exciting time because here I am growing this child for the first time ever, really kind of embarking on this family thing at the same time as helping to birth an app child, right? Creating this game. So it was a really intense and special time. 2 days after Pokemon GO launched, I gave birth to my first daughter, Chloe. I'm sitting here with my daughter in the hospital, and then I'm reading the reaction to Pokemon GO, and I'm reading the emails from the team, and frankly, I knew something was different with Pokemon GO's scale and reach as soon as I got home from the hospital. I live near a huge park in San Francisco, and what was really interesting is that there were far more people walking by my house than normal, and I realized that it was people playing Pokemon GO outside my house, and I couldn't believe that people were playing our game. I couldn't believe it. It sounds strange now, but there is something so magical about watching a random person play a game that your team helped build. So I sat out on the front steps with my newborn baby, and I actually shouted at people as they walked by, asked them, "Are you playing Pokemon GO? Cool, how do you like it?" And that was really, that was an amazing experience.
When I finally went out, which was a couple days later, actually, that I went outside and saw, my kids came home and they're like, Mom, it's crazy. And they're playing and their friends are playing and, you're seeing it on the TV and the news. But I went out and witnessed it and it was so amazing.
You could see everybody with the green on their screens and you could see them doing the flick, and I was like, we gotta go home. I gotta go check Slack. I was like, we gotta go. This is like, what is happening? I was just so like blown away. It was crazy.
Because we changed quite a bit the gameplay from the original Pokemon series. My biggest fear back then was that Pokemon fans shoot me emails telling me how I ruined their childhood dream and all that. So I only hoped that this doesn't make too many people upset, and some people would love it.
Our minds were being blown by just how much Pokemon Go exploded. None of us expected it. None of us thought that would be the case. Tatsuo actually sent a note and said, I'm exhausted, I haven't slept in a while, but this is the most fun I've ever had in my career so far. And we all replied back and said, Amen. Exactly the same. That is truly how I feel about that moment in time.
I remember we flipped on the Switch and just this sea of humanity rolled into our game. I remember after the fact going to these conferences and stuff, did you expect this? It's like, are you flipping kidding me? No, we didn't expect this. This is just outrageous. It was just crazy. We built a tool once before that changes people's lives, and now we built another one but changed their lives, but for fun, right?
We came in like the next morning or two after. There was a full-size 3-tier Pokemon cake that like some company had sent us as a congratulations. There was like a gift basket from like the country of Qatar. It was just bizarre. And then there was like a chef, the like company we were using to like give us food, to like give us lunches, make us lunches, sent a chef in to like make sure we were happy with the lunches. And it was just like everything changed like overnight. We were like, what? There was a security guard. It was just like from like 0 to 100. It was crazy. I was like, what is this? Like, we would get treats all the time, sweets and macarons and cookies and cakes. And it was awesome. We were like, oh, this is awesome. I never dreamed of that happening. Like that wasn't even an option in my mind. I was, like, oh, we're gonna get a hit game. Like that's like nothing you think. You don't never think that, right? Like you're like, oh, let's just try to make it work and do something really special along the way.
Yeah, I was taking pictures of all the cakes that we were getting because day after day we were just getting so many cakes, and they said that the game actually helped a lot of the companies or the small businesses because now it's bringing all this traffic into their store because now you have all these people going out and about and just playing the game, and then at the same time, since they're there already, they would just go in and buy stuff as well.
We are trying to build something that uses technology in a better way. Use the technology to connect people, use the technology to bring the delight to people's days. There's a lot of conversations right now that the technology has created a lot of problems, but we believe that the technology can bring a lot of solution to the problem. That's what we work on. I think the world can be a little better place if people get outside a little bit more and talk to the people and spend time together with the real people. And that's what we do with the power of technology.
So I have all these cousins who are much younger than me. And so there's like generation gap. And then when we launched it, we were able to connect through the game. Because, I was playing it and then they were playing it. I don't know, it was just something that we started doing together. And I became the coolest mom.
I started seeing families going for 30, 40, 50 hour-long walks through the neighborhood, not just to play Pokemon Go, but to hang out as a family. So you're playing Pokemon Go, you're not playing it all the time. There's catch Pokemon, walk, catch Pokemon and walk. And then while you're walking along the way, you're having conversations with other people. So you're experiencing each other in your lives. And that's the thing that epitomized what we're trying to do as a company. Niantic is all about rebuilding communities. How do you bring people together in the real world, that they can have a really good time together. Hopefully this company can come to a place where we can find a way to foster communications between people who are different in some ways, but very similar in most others, so that they can actually talk about the things we need to change in order to become better. But you can't do that if you're sitting behind a screen.
So I tell the story, right? Like my dad has type 2 adult onset diabetes. And for years, his blood sugar was all over the place. Pokemon GO launched, and since the day it launched, he's been walking every day for miles, right? Like he's well north of level 40 now. I never thought that my dad would be like this huge Pokemon fan, but like he's got like a room festooned with like Pokemon stickers now and that kind of thing. But it has brought his blood sugar completely under control. He walks, sometimes miles every day. My mom plays with him. She also plays with a kind of a group of Taiwanese grandmas in Taiwan around the local art park together. I feel incredible gratitude towards the team, the franchise, for having the chance to work together to build this. I think about the fact that the code that I wrote has hopefully had that kind of positive impact. Millions of folks with maybe diabetes in particular, but like tens of millions of people with health issues and hundreds of millions of people overall. It's an incredible privilege to be able to have that kind of impact as writing code and leading a team that put such a fantastic experience together, and feel incredibly thankful for being able to have that impact.
All of the members who worked for this project, especially Tatsuo and the Kei and everybody's the dreams, just they came to the real. I really appreciated that I could share that moment. It was unforgettable day and memory for me.
Especially when I received these letters and mails from people who told us stories about how Pokemon reconnected them to their family or friends. I even received a personal, message from a friend. His family, his sister and his sister-in-law was almost gonna get divorced, but it was Pokemon GO that connected them together, and they sort of reformed their relationship. And he, he thanked me for that, and that made me, think how I can make impact to the world. Maybe not a huge impact to the entire world, like make the world peace or anything, but to some people living in this world, make a change to their life, make it a little more better for them. And throughout this experience making and launching Pokemon GO, I learned that even I can make such an impact. Now I don't work for Pokemon GO anymore, but I still hold that part of wanting to make some change to the world and for better.
This episode was produced by Spencer McCall of Niantic and Brenda Prieto of Push Audio. Sound design by Hensdale Sue. Music courtesy of Pokemon.